Hello, welcome back, HR students. Today the topic I am going to take is role of culture in international human resource management. I am Tanuja Nair from AMC Engineering College, working as Associate Professor in MBA department. As you know, in MNCs, multicultural workforce is employed. That is, employees from different nationalities are employed in the workforce of MNCs. So the role of culture plays a very important role in international human resource management. These are the following elements which should be considered by global HR managers: multiculturalism, culture shock, cultural predispositions, and the importance of being culturally aware. Multiculturalism. It is seen in most of the MNCs, that is the global firms, as employees are from different cultures, they are working together in the firm, then such kind of a workforce is known as a multicultural workforce. This trend can also be seen in domestic firms. Like in IT companies like Infosys and Wipro, we see such kind of a trend where multicultural workforce is employed. So such IT companies are multicultural out of choice. They want to make use of the different skills of employees from different nationalities, whereas for MNCs it is out of design that they employ a multicultural workforce. That means the MNCs have a structure where they employ employees from different nationalities. What is culture shock? When a person travels abroad, especially to a country which is culturally very different from his own home country, then he experiences a huge difference in language, food, dress, hygiene, attitude to time, etc. If the person is traveling on a temporary basis to such countries, it will be a novel experience for him, but for those who have been sent to live and work in such countries, it becomes difficult over a period of time. They experience something known as culture shock, which is a shock reaction to the new cultural experiences in the host country, and it causes psychological disorientation where they are not able to understand the new culture or they are not able to recognize important cues. So PCNs or TCNs who experience culture shock over a period of time, it leads to negative feelings about the host country, its people, its culture, and creates a longing in them to go back home. This is known as culture shock. So MNCs, in order to avoid such kind of a culture shock among their expatriates, they need to develop and maintain a unified culture. Like for example, Unilever has decentralized operations and they try to maintain a common organizational culture by hiring those people whose values and interests are similar to that of their organizational culture, so that even though the people are from different nationalities, since they have similar values and interests, they would be able to blend easily to Unilever's culture. Cultural predispositions. Most of the MNCs favor the following four types of cultures, that is ethnocentrism, polycentrism, geocentrism, and regiocentrism. Ethnocentrism. When the home country's culture is imposed on the subsidiaries, that means the MNC is following an ethnocentric policy. That means whatever their headquarter policies, HR policies and practices are there, it is being applied in their subsidiary operations in whichever country their subsidiary is located in. PCNs or expatriates from the home country are sent to manage the subsidiaries, and they usually occupy the higher level positions in the subsidiaries, whereas the local employees occupy the lower level and supporting jobs within the subsidiaries. The expatriates who are sent to manage the subsidiary operations are usually selected on the basis of their past performance and technical competence. Compensation and performance appraisal in the subsidiaries is done according to the home country standards. That is, what is the headquarters standard for compensation and performance appraisal, the same is followed in the subsidiaries of the MNCs. The PCNs or home country employees who are sent to manage the subsidiary operations, they are usually not given any training. They are sent for a short period of time and they don't bother to make any cultural adjustments. MNCs usually follow ethnocentric policy under the following situations. These are also the advantages of ethnocentric policy. So when the host country nationals are not competent, then the MNC follows an ethnocentric policy. When the MNC wants to develop and maintain a uniform corporate culture, same as which is there in the headquarters, same culture they want to follow in their subsidiaries, then they use ethnocentric policy. When the MNC wants to have greater control over the subsidiary operations and they want their PCNs to be more loyal, then they follow ethnocentric policy. When the key decisions of the company is centralized, that is, the key decisions which are critical to the MNC's success are taken at the headquarter level, then the MNCs tend to follow ethnocentric policy. What are the disadvantages of ethnocentric policy? The host country employees, that is the HCNs, do not get any promotions as they do not get a chance to occupy higher level positions in the subsidiaries. And the PCNs, that is the expatriates who have been sent from headquarters, are not willing or do not bother to make any adjustments to the local conditions. As they are poorly trained, these expatriate managers, they tend to make costly mistakes when they are sent on overseas assignments to manage the subsidiary operations. Polycentrism. This policy is followed by MNCs when they adapt to the local cultural needs of subsidiaries. For example, when the product is customized to suit the customer taste or when the policies of the MNCs are adapted to suit the local needs. So in polycentrism, the subsidiary operations are managed by HCNs, that is host country employees. But the subsidiaries do not have absolute freedom in running their subsidiaries. In polycentrism, the MNC conducts extensive training program for their HCNs. They are sent to headquarters for long periods. They are trained in the company culture and at the same time they learn to respect their host country beliefs and values. What are the advantages of polycentrism? It reduces the high cost of relocating the PCNs and their families into the subsidiaries. The subsidiary heads also enjoy autonomy in decision making As the subsidiary operations are managed by HCNs, that is the home country nationals, they have more freedom in taking decisions regarding the subsidiary operations. The MNC can adapt easily to the local needs and taste of their subsidiaries as HCNs or the host country employees are running the subsidiaries. Training cost is also not very high as the HCNs or host country employees already know about the local culture, so they need not be trained to manage the subsidiary operations. And compensation also for HCNs is less compared to the home country employees, that is the PCNs. The main disadvantage of polycentrism is that the MNC loses control over the subsidiary operations. As the operations are handled by the local employees, that is the HCNs, the headquarter or the MNC does not have much say in the subsidiary operations. Regiocentrism. It is the same policy as that which is followed in polycentrism. A company which is following a polycentric policy adapts their IHRM practices to countries, whereas a company which is following a regiocentric policy adapts their IHRM practices to regions. So that is the only difference you can see between polycentrism and regiocentrism. The advantages and disadvantages is same as that in polycentrism. So the main disadvantage in regiocentrism is that the MNC loses control over the subsidiary operations. And the main advantage of regiocentrism is that they incur less cost in training and in compensating employees in regiocentrism because it is the HCNs or the host country employees who are managing the subsidiary operations. They already know the local culture, so they need not be trained in that, and they are usually paid less than the PCNs. Geocentrism. Geocentric policy is followed by those MNCs where they select the best people to manage their subsidiaries, irrespective of whether the manager is from host country, home country, or third country. So the capable managers who are selected under geocentric policy to manage the subsidiary operations can be a PCN, a HCN or a TCN. So usually such managers are very capable, they are able to adapt easily to different cultures and they are usually bilingual or multilingual. That is, they usually know two or more languages. What are the advantages of geocentrism? MNCs which follow geocentric policy are usually cosmopolitan companies. They are global managers who can adapt to any culture and they are well versed with languages too. What is the disadvantage of geocentrism? The MNC has to incur additional costs in training the expatriates and in relocating them. That is the PCNs and the TCNs, if they have selected to manage the subsidiary operations, they have to be trained and they have to be relocated to the subsidiaries. And more compensation has to be paid to TCNs and PCNs if they are employed as subsidiary managers. But if it is an HCN, then compensation need to be less. It would be less as compared to PCNs and TCNs. The global HR manager has to be aware of the importance of cultural awareness. If an MNC is culturally insensitive, or it believes what works at home will work here, that means they think that what works in their headquarters will work in any of their subsidiaries, then it will surely lead to the failure of their international business. A global HR manager in an MNC has to be aware of cultural differences. He has to be sensitive to the different cultures to which his employees belong to and to the subsidiaries in whichever countries they are located in. Hiring, promoting, and rewarding of employees is according to the host country system. That is, according to the host country, wherever the subsidiary is located, the HR policy of hiring, promoting, and rewarding employees is according to that local country. Suppose an MNC appoints a GM who is an expatriate, a PCN or a TCN, and he employs a local person as the HR manager in the subsidiary. This will lead to problems because the local HR manager will tend to appoint his family members mostly into the subsidiary, and this will be considered by the GM as the HR giving special favors to his family. So such kind of problems can arise if the MNC is not culturally sensitive, and if the MNC is not culturally aware of the cultural differences in different countries.